So I was noticing that my battery in my truck was sagging quite a bit. I knew I had a rusty battery tray. I had these pieces of metal on my tray to keep my battery from falling through or giving it some support. So I took my battery out and examined my battery tray again, and this is what's left of it. So I looked around to see what metal I had. I had a good piece of galvanized steel laying around. I went in the house quick and did an internet search to see how much a new battery tray was, and new one, I guess plastic is like $50, and on down I didn't see any used ones. So I made a new one. Let's see how she looks. So here's my new battery tray. It had a galvanized steel. It's mounted at 3 points. When finding the drill holes, I just started at this hole first. I had to drill 2 holes for this. The original holes were too small, or too low. And then there's a bolt right there. So it's pretty solid. And then I put these straps on here. These are just straps from motorcycle luggage with the buckles. And then I tape the straps because I can't figure out how to keep them from slipping. So if you tape them, they hold. And I just put a bolt through the tray, and I took a razor blade and I tripled these up. So I folded them over 3 times. You take a razor blade, you just push through. You can't drill through these, I found out. So alright, I'll show you how I did this. So I just looked at my battery tray. I knew rough size it had to be. I put my battery in the middle to make sure it was big enough. And here's the dimensions. To give it rigidity, I bent the sides up. So here's the pattern, and then I cut the ends. And then I put this in my vise starting at one corner, and so I start at one corner. And I bent it like probably this much, and then I moved it down and I bent that, so it wasn't at a 90-degree angle, more like a 45 or less. I flipped it over, bent one part, moved it down, bent another. Then I could bend my end pieces in one try. So I bent those at a 90-degree angle, flipped it over, bent this one at a 90-degree angle, and I went back and I finished the bends on the ends, bending them so it was at a 90-degree angle. So now I had these end pieces sticking. This would be bent, and then there'd be an end piece. So I just took my hammer and I pounded it over. So now you have the rigidity of having sides. I didn't put bolts or anything in the ends, but you could. It's pretty solid the way it is. And I did the cutting with my saber saw. I had the sheet metal standing up in my vise, and I've got the blade, so the cutting end is this way. So I just took my saber saw and just cut my way down. So you want to hold it tight. You want the saber saw wide open. You also don't want a huge long blade because it'll wiggle. You want a short blade. And if you don't have a short blade, you could just break your blade in half. And if you have a grinder, you can grind it to fit like this. So you have to take some material off. Maybe a hand file will work. So okay, you can make your own battery trays.